Hello friends, it is Lex at LexReads. Welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a while. We're going back to the normal upload schedule. Sorry I took almost 2 months off. I've been in a reading slump. I only read 3 books in July, 2 of which were graphic novels, and I, as of right now, have finished no books in August, and it's the 25th. So, what we're doing today, I'm excited about it. I hope you're excited about it. So what we're doing today is we're doing the try a chapter challenge tag? I don't know what it is. I'll link the original video down below. Basically, I've picked 5 books. I'm going to read the first chapter of all of them, and hopefully, at the end we're going to pick one of the 5 that I like the most. I'm going to read the book, hopefully, and this is my attempt at breaking out of the reading slump. It's killing me. Yes, anyway, so I've picked a few different genres to give myself a little bit of wiggle room. I have a sci-fi, I have a horror, I have a contemporary, I have 2 fantasies. First book, we have Mexican Gothic. I'm excited about this one. If you watched my video from Tuesday, you'll know that this was one of the books in our first sentence challenge, blindfolded book challenge that we did. I haven't read it yet, so that was fun. But yes, this one, it's horror. I've heard good things. The cover is absolutely gorgeous. Most of the time, the thing that gets me out of slumps the best are horror and thrillers. So I bet that's the one that I keep reading. Next up, we have Ink in the Blood. This one is fantasy, magic, dark fantasy, tattoo magic. It's gonna be fun. I'm really excited about this one. This was one of my most anticipated releases of 2020, so that one's exciting. Next up, we have a book I bought at the beginning of the year. We have The Loneliest Girl in the Universe. This one is a sci-fi. We got a girl who's stuck in space. Her family died, so she's alone in the cosmos. Sounds fun. Next up, the one that no one will shut up about and everyone keeps telling me to read, and I actually am supposed to do it for a mystery TBR that I have yet to film. We have Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. I am actually really excited about this one. It's just kind of, every time things get super, super hyped, I get a little bit afraid of reading them if I don't read them right away. I get overwhelmed by the hype, and then I just put it off for a really long time, so that's where we're at with that. And then the last of the 5 is Infinity Sun by Adam Silvera. Also fantasy. Yeah, so I'm going to read the first chapter of all of those books, talk to you about the first chapter of all of those books, then at the end we're going to pick one and read it. Oh god, every time I hold my camera like this, I remember how heavy it is. I just finished the first chapter of Infinity Sun by Adam Silvera. How do I feel about it? It was pretty good. It was short. It was only about 10 pages. I like Emil. Brighton, we don't get to know as much because the first chapter is from Emil's perspective. I'm not wowed by it. I would be surprised if that ends up being the book that I continue with today. But all in all, it was a pretty solid first chapter. So I just finished the first chapter of Red, White, and Royal Blue. I really, really liked it. Yeah, at this point, I'm firmly in the Red, White, and Royal Blue camp for my first real book in a month and a half or whatever. I have a lot of feelings. Also, this angle cannot be a good angle, but we're committed to it. I like Alex so far. We don't know Henry very much so far, but it was so instantly relatable in the queer experience of being weirdly obsessed with someone and thinking that you hate them, or like I think for me it was always like when I was younger, it was always like me. I was like really intense and was like, I just want to be exactly like them. Like I want to be their best friend. But that like very intense like feelings for someone that like when you look back on it, you're like, I just was attracted to them. And like, so many feelings. Yep, we like it. We like to see it. Next up, we're reading the first chapter of The Loneliest Girl in the Universe. But honestly, Red, White, and Royal Blue might be it. Sorry if you can hear the dog barking outside. I just finished the first chapter of The Loneliest Girl in the Universe. It was like 6 pages, so it was quick, breezy. It's interesting. I like the writing style. I think I'm going to enjoy it, but I don't think I'm going to be enjoying it today. The setup is really interesting. So we have, I'm going to say Romy, that's how I'm going to say her name, who is the current captain of the Infinity, which is a spacecraft going far, far out of our solar system to check and see if a planet somewhere off in the distance is inhabitable by humans. And so she was born on the Infinity to her parents, and then 5 years before the book takes place, her parents both died, so she's just vibing alone in a spacecraft far out of our solar system. So the setup is really interesting. It just didn't catch me quite in the way that Red, White, and Royal Blue did. So now I'm gonna read the first chapter of Ink in the Blood. So I finished the first chapter of Ink in the Blood. It was fine. I definitely will not be picking this one. It was my least favorite of the 4 that I have read thus far. It's higher fantasy than I thought it was. It's not like, I thought it was like realistic fantasy when I picked it up, which might have just been me misreading the summary. It's just, this level of fantasy, I think, is going to take more brain power than my trying to get out of a reading slump brain can handle at the moment. So we're going to say no to this one, although the writing is beautiful. The prose is very pretty, and I really liked the prologue. I technically read the prologue in the first chapter, because the prologue was like 2 pages. I really liked the prologue, so. And as I guessed from the beginning, I'm going to read Mexican Gothic. The first chapter, absolutely stunning. I'm obsessed. I actually, fun fact, got this book without like really knowing what it's about. But I feel like it's gonna be like a little. I mean, it's like it's a Gothic horror novel. I think it's gonna be like haunty and spooky house, and it's Latina and gorgeous, and I just can't wait. So we're doing it. Huzzah! Not gonna lie, I might take a couple hours off and do some writing. Gotta do some writing today. Yeah, we'll see. Hi, it's tomorrow morning. I read like 75 or something pages last night. Is this a Gothic horror novel about eugenics? Because another one of my favorite spooky books is also Gothic-esque horror about eugenics. That's so weirdly specific. I probably won't answer that question in this video because I don't want to spoil the book for anyone, but just thinking about it. Hello. It's been a couple of days since you last saw me, and I have finished Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. This book was great. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I've posted my review on Goodreads if you want to go check it out. My Goodreads is always linked down below in the description. But yeah, this was a really solid book. I really do think this was a good call for getting me out of my reading slump. And also, in case you were wondering, I did also end up reading Red, White, and Royal Blue, but like I said, that was on a secret TBR, so that video will come out hopefully later this month. I have to read the other books first. Mexican Gothic is a reimagining of the like classic Gothic genre, so it has all of the elements of like a standard Gothic. We follow Naomi, who she lives in Mexico City with her father. She's a socialite, one of the like more elite in social standings. It's also historical fiction, which I think I like knew in the recesses of my mind, but did not like remember. And then I started reading it, and I was like, this is historical fiction, which if you've been around here for very long at all, you know that I typically hate historical fiction. Not so for this one. But so we follow Naomi, who her family, her father receives a letter from her cousin who was just recently married, and the letter is weird and concerning, and she's sick, and it seems like she's really, really not doing well. She's talking about like ghosts in the walls and stuff like that. So Naomi's father sends her out into basically the Mexican countryside to look after and hopefully convince her cousin's new family, married family, that she might need psychiatric care. It's in the 1950s, so that's kind of like gasp, like psychiatric care, what the hell. And so she goes. Her cousin had married into an English family that had moved to Mexico, and so it takes place in this like English manor in the Mexican countryside. And as soon as Naomi moves in, she starts to experience some weird shit. It gets weird. It gets real weird. It gets very, very weird. But I really liked it. 4 out of 5 stars. The prose is stunning. I will be picking up more of Silvia Moreno Garcia's writing, like books, because this is, I think, her 4th or 5th book. I will be picking up some of the earlier ones and maybe some of her newer releases when they come out next year and going forward, because oh my goodness, I adored her writing style. So this is horror. Everyone pitched this to me as horror. And yeah, it's a horror book, but I would say it's pretty like lighter horror. The mystery was more compelling than anything was scary or creepy. I wasn't like actively afraid at all a single time. I was more uncomfortable a time or two, which happens sometimes, but like, there were some moments where I was like, ooh, that's uncomfortable, but I was never afraid at all. But I did really like it. 4 out of 5 stars. I don't know what else to say. I love the characters. I think all the characters are really interesting and very compelling. Naomi as a protagonist was so much fun because she's so intelligent and strong-willed and like a little bit rebellious and kind of coy, and she was so fun to follow. She was definitely my favorite character in the book. But all the other characters were super interesting. I think mayhaps it could have leaned into the climax a little bit more. I wanted just like more. It was like an 8 and I wanted it to be an 11. But other than that, I have no qualms, no criticisms. Content warnings: if you plan on reading this book, I didn't write a list, or I did, but I haven't looked at the list. Abuse, sexual abuse / assault, cannibalism, and human sacrifice. If that's something that really freaks you out. What else? Is there anything else? I'm not going to lie to you, I think there's some other things, but off the top of my head I don't recall. Like I said, I wrote them in my Goodreads review, so if you like really, really are curious, my link is down below. But yeah, thank you for joining me on this get out of the reading slump challenge thing. Also, I think you might like to know, I did actually read Mexican Gothic and Red, White, and Royal Blue on the same day. So I think it's pretty safe to say, reading slump annihilated. We are back on track, ladies, gents, and NB friends. Let's do it. As per usual, thank you so much, so much, so much for hanging out with me. If you want to know what's kind of been up, because I know I went AWOL, I disappeared for almost 2 months. If you want to know what's up with that, if you're really curious, if you were worried or anything, I'm going to talk about the last 2 months in my July and August wrap-up, because I'm going to post like a collective wrap-up on probably the 1st of September or so, maybe the day before, maybe the day after, but somewhere near the 1st of September, as I typically post my wrap-ups. But yes, Mexican Gothic, highly recommend if you haven't read it. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. It's been a pleasure. And I will see you guys very soon. I promise. Goodbye, friends.